Hey, it's championship week here on the hill. It's championship week on the hill. All right. You know what I'm saying? And so, listen, we had to come back. Special recap show. And it's me, your host, Lionel, with my host, Kerry Mickens, and of course, our special guest, Coach Heich Northern. We got another special guest tonight because it's championship week. We got to get some champions on with us. And so, how about none other than 2009 SWAC champion, Mr. PV, you know what I'm saying, Football Alumni Association president himself, Brandon. Yeah, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing? How you guys feeling? You've had a week kind of to decompress from the season. You know what I'm saying? Had a chance to watch what happened at the Bayou Classic this past weekend. I mean, you had a lot of opportunities to get some things done. I gave y'all an extra day. All right, listen, my baby girl. You know, one thing I learned in this father life is sometimes you do stuff to your kids, other times kids do stuff to you. Okay, you think you putting your kid to bed, and really your kid putting you to bed. Okay, so that's what happened on yesterday. If y'all wondering, because everything was set up, we was ready to go. I'm like, all right, let me go and give her a bath. All right, you know what I'm saying? It's 8:15. I got some time, right? You know what I'm saying? I had my schedule down, been going. My wife has been going to Ghana, by the way, the last 10 days. So this is the backstory. My wife been going to Ghana the last 10 days. Her best friend's getting married, so she over there having the time of her life. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, baby, on schedule. I make sure she's on schedule. We're gonna sleep between 8 and 9, period. Ain't no other time. So I got time in the evening to get whatever I need to get done, right? It's been working well. I've been on point. Listen, I've been on point. She been knowing when it's time to go to bed. We've been good. Yesterday, coach, I thought I had it down. I was like, we're gonna be good. I'm gonna knock it out. I waited a little bit too late. You know what I'm saying? I should have started my routine a little earlier. You know, I got it ready to go. Gave her the bottle. She ready to lay down. Listen, in between that time she rolled around before she fell asleep, she got me before I got her. Okay. I set my alarm, and some told me, say, man, hit up Coach, hit up Kerry, and tell him, listen, go on, get it started. I'm gonna jump on, and we're gonna keep it rolling. But it ain't work that way, you know what I'm saying? And all I'm trying to say is, you want to have these things happen before the game, before game day. This is stuff you got to learn, Coach, going into the game. And that's what Prairie has been able to do over these last 6-7 weeks. They've been able to get all the kinks out. So when it's time for game day, baby going to bed between 8 and 9. Ain't no game being played. But how you guys doing, man? It's Monday. We ready? How you guys feeling?
I want to know how Brandon feeling.
Hey, man, look. I'm speechless, and Coach Northern know, man, how this thing go, man. When it's electric right now, because I don't know. I'm ready to play, but I realize some days are over with. But man, it's an exciting feeling, man, to have opportunity, man, to be on the other side of it. It's hard because it's Monday. And I find myself watching film, resorting back to some of that old stuff that we used to do. How Coach used to have us prepared, but man, it's a good feeling, man, to be in this position, because a lot of teams not, and it's not throwing shade at them, but it's the truth, man. Anytime you get opportunity to play for a championship and to do it at Prairie View, man, it's that much more special, man. So I'm excited. It's Monday. I'm still working, doing some stuff behind the scenes to try to do the best that I can to kind of help where I can, but my hands are off, so you kind of feel helpless to a degree. You know, a couple of passes I want to go out there and catch, but I realized that I can't do that no more. But man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited, to say the least.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So I was so excited. I was at I won't say the car brand, too many people hate them, but I was at the Supercharger. And I made me 2 more Prairie View fans. So shout out to Alexis and Liz at the Supercharger. They didn't know anything about Prairie View football because they from California, but they know now. And they said they would actually watch the show. So wanted to send them a shout out. But it was a good weekend because I didn't have to take any extra medicine or nothing because PV wasn't playing. So that's a good weekend. The only thing, and Brandon can attest to this, thanks to Lionel, I have a whole lot of trolls on Twitter. I can't even say, man, I'm glad to wear my purple today. Here comes a certain fan base. That purple's ugly. Why are you wearing that? That's the worst color out there. Dang, I wasn't even talking to you. But we'll get to that later. But I'm just saying, thanks a lot, Lionel. I'm enemy number 1 on Twitter. Well, number 2, you know.
Hey, look.
You are.
I want to come in and boast a little bit, and I know some of y'all, I got a little bit of hood in me, and I want to say, if you ever saw the little Boosie's daughter video, when she come out, she say, I told y'all.
Yeah.
Hey,
I wanted to play that too.
Hey, I want to send that video, but look, man, I tell you what, it was a great weekend. I had Thanksgiving at my dad's house in Baton Rouge. We go down to the game. I get invited to go to a ball at a fundraiser for Southern University. Go to the game, man. If they would have had cigarettes, I probably would have been smoking cigarettes in the game. I don't know how the everyday fan does that on a regular basis, because I was brought in, and it was emotional, because I always talk about when I see those guys that play at Southern and Grambling and Prairie View, but in particular Southern, I tell them how much I appreciate them, whether or not they know me or not, because what they did, in my opinion, it was a monumental task to win that game. But I always say, bad Southern always beat good to great Grambling. I don't know how it happened, and that's been going on since the 80s, since I was a little boy. So, but it was a good weekend to get down there, see. And then the funny thing about it, I'm seeing guys I played with at Southern, as well as guys that I coached at Grambling with their kids. And it was funny to see guys with their kid and be like, hey, man, you can't go on Maury and say that ain't your kid. I'm talking about all the same mannerism, everything. But it was just great being in the Dome, because I don't get a chance to go to the Bayou Classic often. The last time I went, it came down to the last second of the game. So I might be Southern good luck when it comes to the last second of the game. So I really enjoyed it. And look, y'all boy, I convinced your boy, y'all favorite freshman, to ride the school bus to the championship game. Like, hey, man, he remembers going to the championship game when I was coaching. But I'm like, hey, man, I will pay your way for you to enjoy this festive ride. Enjoy yourself on the bus. Don't do anything stupid, but enjoy yourself and celebrate, because a lot of people don't get that chance.
Mm-hmm.
That's facts. Listen, a lot of people are in full recruiting mode right now. Some people can stay on the phone all day and talk to recruits. You know what I'm saying? They can talk to recruits for hours upon hours, but we can't do that because we get ready for SWAC championship game. Those who know what I'm talking about. Go ahead, Coach. You want to say something?
Look, I was gonna say, it's some people stuff in mothballs already. So
come on, man.
Anytime your stuff still out and them other people's stuff in mothballs, like, that's another little feather in your cap right there, baby.
Hey, listen, Coach say some people wiping pads down, et cetera, right? You know what I'm saying? And so we're going to talk about that. Coach Jackson, of course, always around recruiting season, you know he's going to have some good tweets. He obviously had that tweet, man. Listen, over a million. That thing is over 1 million views right now. It's gotten over 1 million views, over 300 reposts. He just knows how to kind of spark a little storm up, right? Which at the end of the day, you get your name out there, right? Get recruits to look at you like, who's this coach talking like this? I ain't okay, Prairie View. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, right, it's going to push the program out. Shouts out to Mr. Caden Bowers, right? You know what I'm saying? He said, appreciate you guys for the support. We always are supporting you guys, right? We're going to be proud with you, obviously, in Jackson on this weekend, man. And listen, we 10 toes down. Listen, we believe before there was believed to even be there, right? You know, since you already know if nobody got y'all to win, we know what y'all about to go do and the job y'all about to get done down here, right? And also, listen, shouts out to the whole O line. SWAC awards were dropped today. We're not talking about the today. Tomorrow's show, we're gonna dive a little bit more into those things, right? But really feel like the offensive line really wasn't shown the love that they should have been shown, having the third ranked rushing attack in the SWAC, right? You know what I'm saying? And talking about only giving up 5 sacks all year, only 3 sacks in the SWAC conference games. Just feel like the love wasn't shown to the offensive line, you know what I'm saying, from the SWAC as far as, their postseason awards, had other individuals who wasn't awarded there too as well. But listen, ain't nothing like SWAC champions with rings and MVP of that game and a celebration. Because listen, at the end of the day, you win those, somebody got to get them awards, right? You know what I'm saying? And so, again, we recognize the work y'all been doing under Coach Carson, man. And so shouts out to the O-line. Shouts out to your father as well, Mr. Bowers, always a long-time supporter of the program. You know what I'm saying? I know he always pulling up to every game as well, too. So she said even the blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes. So this ain't after hours, but Southern found 4 of them, by the way, 4 in a row. Southern found 4 of them. So at this point in time, it's almost like, listen, that squirrel, you know what I'm saying, it's a little bit too much. All right, that's gonna be
the squirrel getting fat right about now.
That's gonna be a squirrel right now. All right, you know what I'm saying. So, but with that said, man, you know what I'm saying, Coach, I want to just come to you, right? Because obviously you've obviously played in big games, right? You know what I'm saying, and you've been able to win as a player and a coach, right? You know what I'm saying. And so when you talk about what this experience is right now, and I know obviously, it's 2025, right? Things change, you have different generations and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, man, playing a big game, right? Can you kind of talk about this, and Brandon talks to you as well after Coach? What is going through, and not just Prairie View's players' minds, right? Because having a chance to play on this big stage when you haven't had an opportunity before, what is that mindset like now, especially after being kind of indoctrinated with the thought process that, hey, you're going to be here from the last 11 months, right? It's not like we just popped up here and like we're here, right? We were going through a process to believe we were going to get here, and now we're here. What is the mindset? What's the nerves like, etc.? And also speak about it also from a Jackson State standpoint of things, right? Being a team that has won it before and now having a chance to play again, coming into a game and saying, how do we kind of come into this game, right, and solidify winning this, not living off of what the past, right, and what you've done for me back then, but how as players do we come into this game and solidify this win now? And Brandon, I want you to talk about that as well, and then Coach, also from a coaching standpoint, talk about that, right, and preparing for a championship game.
Well, let Brandon go first and talk more from a player's perspective, and I'll talk more from the coaching side because I've done it at a couple of different schools.
Yeah, man. Man, one of the things that comes to mind, man, is just the ultimate. When you sit down, you kind of take a chance to kind of take a deep breath. You think about those dog days, that time when you first got to camp and the excitement. You look at the grind, going to class and having to get up at 5 a.m. to go to workouts, and you get a chance to kind of a little bit bring it all together on that bus ride, man, or just even, I can't even say the bus ride, just kind of like that preparation week, man. It's a lot of attention to detail, even though it's always been that way. But things, coaches, what's the word I want, the coaches, I would say the leash gets a little shorter for like the foolishness. Things, guys get a little bit more kind of a little bit, what's the word I want to use? You have some guys a little like the tolerance level. I just say the tolerance level for the foolery, because guys are lax. Guys try to still kind of have that, do the things that we've been doing all week, all year, but things that to be able to pay attention to detail a little bit more. It kind of comes into play. Guys are getting that extra lift. Guys is starting to, you start to talk about it a little bit more. And then you start dreaming about it a little bit more. Then you start understanding, okay, listen, we getting ready to travel. Like, what does that look like? So it's a culmination of a lot of things that will go into your mind, just that preparation of the week. Guys are competing at a high level, that week, because you're trying to make sure that you have your best foot forward for the team that you're going to go against. And I think even going up to that week, there are a lot of things that that take place when you're there I say in Birmingham during that championship week. You get there on Wednesday, you have a practice on Wednesday, and then you on Thursday you have another practice, and they have little press conferences, then you have like a luncheon. And most people don't realize both of those teams are in that luncheon together. And I tell a quick story so it kind of put together. So we got Coach Northern. Coach Northern is quiet. Coach Northern, most people think Coach Northern just, look at Coach because he yelling all the time. And Coach Northern's fairly quiet. So you kind of take on the personality of your coach. So we're sitting inside the meeting. You got Prairie View on one side, and you got Alabama A&M on the other side. Well, what most people don't realize, they had like a video game where one of our guys was playing video games against one of their guys playing video games, in the lobby. So you walking around, so you're gonna back your guy. But this particular day, this one with Dura Sharp, I believe, was the athletic director for the conference. So, those guys get awards. There were some awards given at that particular luncheon. So you got Chris Dingapool, and then you got some other dude from, I forgot, it was like their DB or whatever. He was top notch. So then, if you know anything about Chris Dingapool, he a Miami guy. I'm a Florida guy. So they're a different type of creature. Like when they from Miami, they're a little different. I'm from that kind of area, but some of the Miami dude, they just different. So Dingapool is not gonna back down from anything. Like he'll listen to Coach Northern get on his behind. That's one person like, hey, listen, you shut up, he gonna listen. But this one particular day, so some words got exchanged because they were over there standing beside each other. And next thing you know, they got to talking trash, and then if Pool, you just heard him, and me knowing him, the body language. Next thing you know, dude started talking trash. They started talking trash. They guys stood up. I guys stood up, and the commissioner had to come on the microphone at that particular time and say, "Hey guys, listen, we not finna do this here. If we listen, I will sit you down myself
Yeah.
if there's an issue, if a fight break out." So the competitive edge, man, that atmosphere is chippy because you're hearing about all the things that your team is not, and all the things that the team is kind of similar to what we're dealing with now. So you take that in that moment, and then you get back to our meeting rooms, and coaches gonna say they gotta say, like, hey, listen, we ain't second fiddle to nobody. They just use another word, but it's a lot that go on behind the scenes that most people don't really think about. But ultimately, outside that, man, it's a beautiful thing, man, because you start seeing, you start walking around the hotel after your meetings because you have some downtime. And then you start seeing those fans, start coming in the hotel. And you see more and more, and guys are congratulating you. So it's a lot of different things that's going through your mind. It's like, hey, listen, we're gonna win this game. But then you start seeing family, you start seeing friends, and you start trying to wrap it all together. And then as you get to a point where it's that bus ride that Coach Northern always talk about, that's a bus ride a lot of people don't get an opportunity to take. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It's one thing to go into, a lot of your, the State Fair Classic or the Labor Day Classic where you got that police escort going into the fair, but it's a different feeling, man. When you get on that bus, I mean, normally guys are pretty much always quiet, but it's a little bit, it's that real solitude quiet, man, where guys are were taking that bus ride and getting off the bus. And guys, it's another level of being locked in, man. And to be able to get out in that field and what I'm saying, know that it's all on the line and everything that you work for, man. It's a beautiful feeling, man. It's a beautiful feeling. I can't explain it. I played in the high school championship. In the state of Florida, it's different on a college level, man, because it's so much more attention to detail, and it's everything that your coach has coached you to do, everything that you said, you can pretty much tell them what they're going to say to you in every pretty much situation because they mentally prepared you for the game. And not even outside of that, you got your teammates, your leaders. A lot of those guys are a little bit more vocal when it comes to that point because you know that it's all on the line, man. So it's a beautiful, man. It's a beautiful feeling. And I think for me, I cry like a baby because you understood what you put into it, and you understood what it meant to make history at Prairie View the way that we did it. Because a lot of people doubted us. They doing the same thing. And we had a lot of fans that wasn't really sure about it. But it was also amazing to be able to see all the hard work that you put in. But it's another thing to see we had more, and we played in Birmingham. We had more fans in Alabama than Alabama A&M had, and they're an hour down the street.
Yep.
So you got to take that in context, man. And then the way that we won it, most people don't realize they don't give him enough credit. They give credit to KJ. KJ is my quarterback. I love him. But if you want to tell somebody thank you, you need to say thank you to Mike Jason.
Yeah.
Mike Jason saved that championship for us. Had he not tackled that dude on that kickoff return, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Nope.
So it's those unsung heroes that Coach Northern always talks about. Sometimes it's not always the guy that has the ball in his hand. Sometimes it's that guy that's on special teams and that play that really makes the difference. So man, it's I can go on and about it, but I'm not. But man, it's a beautiful feeling, man, to be able to have that opportunity, to be able to celebrate. But the big, and we didn't get a chance to have like a celebration bowl or whatever. We did myself national champions, like FAMU deemed themselves the champions of Florida, whatever it was. But man, it's a beautiful feeling, man. And to be able to see the coaches celebrate, Coach Norland a little bit nicer after that game. But you get it because we know him because it's his personality, but you get a chance to, like we doing now, to be able to I pick up the phone, hey Coach Northern, remember that time? Or but it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm gonna go back a little bit to, like I said, I had been to 3 of those at Grambling 3 years in a row where we played, I think the 2 Alabama schools, we played Alabama A&M the first time, Alabama State the second time, Alabama State the third time when we won those championships. I think the biggest thing that was different at Prairie View, like at Grambling, we were expected to win. It wasn't a doubt that we were going to win those championships pretty much. Even one year we lost to Alabama State, but we came back and beat them. But it was no doubt that we were going to win those championships once we got that thing rolling with Coach Williams. At Prairie View, we had the thing rolling, but it still was like some doubt in, I would say, everybody else's mind, but we just knew if we played a certain type of game. And I'll tell you what, that was a little bit different at Prairie View from my perspective, because, I felt like I was coaching not only the guys that was on that team, but I honestly felt like I was coaching for the guys from the losing streak. That's what I felt like. I had to win for those guys. I didn't care how we did it. And I just remember, like Brandon said, we had meeting rooms that you sort of had to go through the hotel lobby to get to. And when you come out the meeting rooms, it was almost like a small parade. You passing by, you getting the good luck wishes. But walking through that crowd and seeing some of those people, some of the guys that played when I first got there where we won only 3 games, some of those guys that didn't win a game they whole 4 years, and to meet those guys and talk to them, I think that was the biggest part of that. And then the way that we won it, like I say, it was truly a team victory with Beck and Quentin Spears getting a sack fumble, to KJ leading us to a drive late, to Mike Jason, like he said, making a tackle on that play. I'm looking at it when I see the punt happen, and it was supposed to be punted out of bounds. When I see it happen, I'm saying to myself, "There's no way we gonna lose the SWAC championship on a punt return." Because I'm like, it's gonna be my fault because all people gonna see is they scored late, and they gonna blame me as a defensive coordinator, not knowing it was a punt return for a touchdown. But Mike saved the day, and I think we had to get 2 plays to stop him to win the game. So, like I say, that was a big burden, and it was like the deepest breath that you could ever imagine happening because it was done at Prairie View. And I just, like I say, it was something that was not say unexpected, but it was different. It was a totally different feeling. Like I believe if we would have lost at Prairie View, I don't know how I would have felt. I know I wouldn't have felt the same had we lost at Graham because the dynamics of the thought process was different for the fans and the university as opposed to being at Prairie View, even though we beat pretty much everybody we played except New Mexico State that year.
Lionel, I add to what Coach Northern said. So everybody talk about having faith and trusting God and having faith. It was a different level of faith displayed because what most people don't know was we call ourselves the Smurfs because all of your starting receivers, except for one person, was under 6 foot. You had Gabe Eddie was like 6'1", maybe 6'2". You had Anthony Wheaton that was like 5 foot and some change. You had Mike Benson.
Yep.
Mike Benson was like 5 and some change. You had Sean. Sean wasn't quite 6 foot. Here I am, 5'8". And then you had, I think, Spencer. I'm not sure if Spencer really played that game.
Yeah.
But then but your starting receivers, except for one, was under pretty much 6 foot. But one thing we got together, and I think it was spearheaded by Whedon. We always had this thing where we talking about we're gonna pop bottles. And Coach Northern, I don't know if the defense had it in their room too, but we had curfew. So the coaches would come by your room. It was like several checks. Coach Frazier did a check as well. Coach Northern had the defensive guys, and you had defensive GAs, and you had the other staff. But when they came around to our rooms, we had bottles of champagne, we had bottles of whatever else bottles we had, and we had them on the table. So Coach was like, "What the hell y'all doing all this damn? What the hell y'all doing all this? Excuse my French. All this damn bottles of liquor. Hey, Coach, we finna pop bottles after this is over with." So it was a level like that level of faith, and we had it on the table. It's like y'all better not, none of the bottles better not be popped before the game. But if you go in that locker room, and we brought them in the locker room with us, they walked around and saw him on there. It was a different level. When he said something about the bottles, like, yeah, we're gonna pop bottles, let's see and show me. And bro, that locker room, champagne, man. Like I say, man, it's stories, man, that we can go on and on about the game. Matter of fact, last one, Alabama A&M head coach at the time, Coach Frazier used to always make us practice at the hottest time of the day, 2:00, right? And we could never figure out why this man got us practicing out here so damn hot out here. Like, this was like the hottest time in Texas. And his philosophy was, listen, we gonna practice at the hottest time of the day because people gonna have to come down here and play us, and we gonna be ready, and they not gonna be able to stand it. Well, Alabama A&M coach stood up at the press conference at the SWAC championship games like, hey, listen, yeah, y'all had us playing out there in that hot heat, but yeah, you down here in Alabama now where it's cold, and Frazier didn't take too kind to that. And he had something to say. Like you said, Frazier ain't really gonna say too much. He gonna say something to us, but he gonna also let it be known, like, hey, listen, you ain't finna pump me. And we end up winning. So, man, like I say, man, that whole week rather, from Wednesday, from the time we left to the time we came back, man, it's just a good time, especially when you win, though.
Hey, I know it's gonna sound like we taking over, but Brandon mentioned something about the bottles. So, I had been to a few championships, so I had some bottles of my own, lo and behold. So look, one of the players picks up my bag by mistake, and he's like, this don't feel like my bag. So he goes through it, and lo and behold, it's my bag. So, they get sort of scared that, hey, man, these like Coach bottles or whatever. But, to go back to it, they end up eventually telling like, hey, Coach, we sort of saw what you had in the bag after it was all said and done. But like I say, there's gonna be a day that those guys gonna never forget. I guarantee you.
Yeah. It was Adrian.
Yeah, Adrian Grant.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you got to remember, those times, and it's those little moments, right, that you remember, like you're talking about it now. You talk about the guys, and even as the Football Alumni Association comes back and do things for the program now, man, it's those memories of what they've been through, what they built, that builds that connection, right? And so, before we kind of jump into just some of the keys to this game upcoming, right? Mr. Mickens, right? You were there at the last championship game. What do you see when you talk about the fans, right? Because there's always something made about Prairie fans and things of that nature, right? But I want to touch on those who are actually supporting, and those who are actually going to games, those who actually are driving, and those who getting on buses right now, right? What do you see that now for this team and for this season, right? And I mean, I think we saw some stuff with the FAMU championship in 2023, and think of the Jackson 21. Man, we had some people that definitely went down there. But what kind of are you seeing and feeling now that kind of makes you remember and think about 2009 and what we were able to do this year? What are you seeing, and how do the fans feeling right now from that standpoint?
Well, before I get to that, I got to ask you something. Can you show something for me real quick? Because Coach Northern probably don't know who was behind that picture, but I don't know how to present it. That when Coach Northern was coaching, that was my picture, Labor Day class.
So look,
I don't think he knew behind the picture, but I did it.
So some people, that's what they would actually call me, was Coach Debo. And as long as you said coach in front of it, I didn't care. You could, and on a collegiate level, once you got past a certain point, you could call me Coach Heiss, but I'm not gonna let you call me by my first name. Or you could call me Coach Northern, Coach Debo, or Coach Heiss. I didn't really care pretty much as long as. But look, I always thought stuff like that was fun. And actually, I just saw this Friday themed Thanksgiving get together, and I'm thinking about doing it for Christmas, where I'm gonna get me a Debo shirt and some slides and some blue khakis, and I'm gonna walk around like Debo all day on Christmas. Look, if I get it in time, I might wear it to the championship game.
So that's how I feel that we got that defense that we had when I made that picture.
Yeah.
And we get the whole you ain't played nobody thing, but like a couple of podcasters have said, they finally recognize what we said all along. We have several common opponents. So you had the opportunity to have your defense ahead of our defense while you're saying that the rank is bogus and it doesn't mean anything. And it's kind of amazing that there's so many people that say we have this much of a chance of even coming close to winning the game. I'm like, this is the SWAC. Didn't FAMU just lose the Valley? Didn't Grambling just lose the Southern? And I'm not saying it's the same type of matchup, but I'm just saying in the SWAC, we all are in that boat. Alabama State beat us. Our opponent beat Alabama State. We beat Grambling pretty handily. Grambling beat our opponent. So you can't just ever get into the SWAC. It's just like, I'm not going to say the name, certain person came after me on Twitter because I presented some facts. And I made a post on Twitter that didn't even tag any of the JSU people or anything. I was just talking about something else, and I started getting attacked. And then they told me I was spiraling. And then I'm like, how can I spiral? I would never hang my hat on some 18 to 23-year-olds. I'm not going to live or die if they win or lose. But I am going to say we got a good chance because I like our defensive matchup against their offense. And I don't care which quarterback they start. I would still like our chances because they like to run first. We like to stop the run. And if they're forced to pass, we like that too. So, people see that three-man front and think, oh, they give up a lot of runs. But as, another person said on their breakdown, we only gave up one 100-yard rusher in the SWAC. Oh, yeah. We got to make sure that happened. So, so I like the chances, Lionel, right now. And I didn't go into the offense.
Man. And get into that, right? I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's a good transition, though, right? You know what I'm saying? Because when you talk about talk about having 2 weeks, right? And we kind of talked about that last time on the last show a little bit, right? Going into preparing in these 2 weeks, how do you spend these next 2 weeks getting ready for this game. But at the end of the day, Coach Northern, and I think there was one gentleman who does a great job just covering HBCUs and sports in general, to kind of put a video out.
I missed part of what you said.
I missed all of what he said. Got frozen.
Yeah, I think he was saying that there was a guy that's in the HBCU
And I don't
space.
see.
Okay,
can
go
you guys
ahead,
hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm saying there was a guy who made a video, right? You know what I'm saying? And basically breaking down Prairie View's defense, breaking down Prairie View's schedule, saying, hey, man, we basically played the same teams. Look at what they've done against those same teams, right? They've done a very good job, right, against those same games. And really showing what we're doing on defense, right? And at the end of the day, right, at this point, you are what you are, right? I mean, Jackson is what they are. They have certain things that they like to do, certain tendencies. You talk about it, Coach Northern, many times in a breakdown, how, you got certain plays that you go to, right, at the end of the day. And you say, hey, these are check mark that we going to run these plays, and we not changing what we do. And so now at this point, a lot of it just comes down to at the end of the day, or my question to you, right, is does it really at the end of the day just come down to execution of what you do well now? Or is it more of how can I implement something scheme-wise that can put the other team at a disadvantage in this last game of the season, right? Because you kind of have played a certain way throughout the whole year and have just said, hey, I'm going to look to do better what I do best. So now is it more about changing up what you do to kind of match up with the other team? Or is it just, man, we just imano, who can execute better? Which one did you say is more of what you lean on in this game?
I think the main thing you have to do is lean on what you do well and try to make the other team play what we call left-handed. And I'll tell you this, from a coaching standpoint, I wouldn't cross-compare anybody. What they score versus what we score and all that, that's for fans, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But I think you go in with, I got to stop these top 5 running plays. In certain situations, I may have to stop the top 2 passing plays, 1st and 10 or P and 10, 2nd and long, 3rd and 5-ish, and 3rd and long. If you can stop those situational football plays, you're going to stand a great chance of winning. And that's the biggest thing that you're going to focus on, those situations. And certain times, if you got good DB play, then you can say, all right, I can send 5 and 6 and 7 because I know my back 4 can cover theirs. Or I can zone blitz from the field and they're not going to figure out what we're doing. And that's from both teams. Because like I say, I looked at Jackson's defense like I was playing against them. Like, okay, I see this. I see when they line up in this front, this is what I can take advantage of. And I'm not just talking about the passing game. I'm talking about run game too. So the biggest thing is situations and what wrinkle can I throw at them that's off of something that I already have. But you had 2 weeks to prepare. So now you have enough time to say, look, guys, I know we hadn't run this before, but I know we could hit home with this. And I keep going back to over Miami week. We probably hadn't run over Miami week in 3 weeks. And there was the play that basically sealed the championship for us.
I got you. Now that makes a lot of sense, right? And then, at the end of the day, man, it's 2 good teams going up against each other. I think that's what a lot of people are really realizing now and recognizing that at the end of the day, you got a good Jackson team and a good Prairie View team that's going up against each other. And so, which players are going to come to play this game, right? Is going to be a major thing, right? People talk about how Cam has continued to get better, right, over the last few weeks, right? And we got to see what sticks, right, and what stays. But I like what you said in saying that you really not looking at kind of the comparisons. And I think coaches said that too. Both coaches actually said that in the press conference that we just looking at film, right? We're looking at tendencies and what they do. I mean, what happens in another game don't really make a determination of how I'm necessarily going to play them. Because you also got to think about what personnel you got and things of that nature too as well. games change. But Bill, I want to go back to you, man. When you look at this PV team, especially from an offensive standpoint, and also we look at Jackson, right, and what they do. What kind of stands out to you when you're watching both teams to say, man, this is what both teams do well, and what each team is going to have to do in order to actually get a victory in this contest?
I think Jackson, I give credit. They have a motor up front. Those guys can get after the get after that pass rush, man. They're strong, they physical, and they do what they do best, man. They get to the ball. Their linebackers as well. They got pretty good athletic linebackers that can, close the gap on you too. Not so much on the back end. They miss a lot of tackles on the back end. Sometimes they give up that big play with guys get behind them. But the man, that front row of guys, man, can get after that ball. As far as for us, when I look at the matchup against Jackson, man, one of the things we need to do, we need to control the line of scrimmage. You can run the ball on Jackson. It's not like you can't run it, but we need to be able to control it on those third downs and third down and 4 and third down and 5. Because Coach Northern to tell you, man, as a defensive coordinator and even on the offensive side of the ball, it does something to you on third down when that team converts. It does something to you because, like, oh man, I got them. All we need to get this stop. You're like, damn, they got 5 yards. They come back third down and 7. Man, they got 7 yards.
Yep.
Or you get some random at like 3rd and 20 after a penalty. You come back and here they are, get it right there, maybe. So it's a lot that goes into it. But when I look at our team, man, we just need to be able to play ball and not make mistakes and don't shoot ourselves in the.
Brandon unplugged something.
Did Bill go out for y'all too?
Yeah, he totally off.
He's getting too excited.
Coach, well, we got a question here, Mr. Jazz Hill, and you guys get your questions in the queue right here. Also, we got the call lines open. We got a few more minutes, right, that we got.
So it says,
do you breaking down this game? I do want to let you guys know we do have a very, very, very special. Go ahead.
Okay, there you go.
Go ahead, Coach. Question.
Oh, I'm reading the question. So it depends on how early in the game it is and how they score. It's just me. I always think it's a bad omen to score the first play of the game if it's not a kickoff return. Other than that, everything else is good because you don't want your guys to think it's going to be easy. I would rather a 8, 10, 12 play drive as opposed to a 1 yard, especially if it's a run. Now, if it's a bomb, I might say, okay, we might have something, but I'm really in the drives that first because now, like I say, you get a chance to get your lather going. You get a chance to set your pads. You get a chance to have some click-clack, settle some guys down that may have some nervous energy if you can put together a drive. But it depends on how late in the game is the first drive. But this is a key now. Both of these teams are well-prepared teams, so and they played some down to the wire games. If you think about it, the Prairie View Alcorn, the Prairie View Texas Southern, the Jackson Alcorn, the Jackson. It's been some close games by both teams, so it ain't gonna be no flinching going on, in my opinion. It's gonna be some control out the lead, and let's get ready for the next play, no matter what the score is. Until there's no way that you can time-wise come back and win the game. I think it's gonna be a slugfest. But honestly, I think somebody's gonna get frustrated by not being able to get going one way or the other. But I don't think anybody's gonna flinch, especially if it's early in the game.
Based on what you've seen, Coach, and you've seen with both of these teams, do you feel like this game is going to be one of those kind of back and forth defensive battles where, field position, is very important, right? Where the kickers are really, really super important, right? Because, points are hard to come by. Or do you look at this game as being a game where it's going to be a little bit more of the, I don't want to say maybe high scoring game, right? But maybe something that's high 20s, right? Low 30s games, right? Which way, based on what you've seen from both of these teams, do you feel like this game is going to go in?
Oh man, I can see somebody in the 30s and somebody in the maybe the high teens, but I think it's going to be a good game. But one way or the other, it's going to be some explosive plays in the kick, punt return game, or by a wide receiver that's just going to get hot, and it's going to be one of those. We didn't prepare for that guy, but that joker making some plays. That's just the way I see it. I think it's going to be a good game, but I don't think it's going to be close in the end.
That's good. That's good. Mr. Mickens, I wanted to bring you back in, right? Because, we talk about, like Coach is mentioning right now, that sometimes there's a guy who really hasn't jumped off the screen, right? We talked about a couple weeks ago, right, on Northern Lights, right, how Coach was saved by one of his players when he set one guy down, right? You know what I mean? For a week, right, and got saved out of Southern. But I mean, is there anybody when you look at both of these teams that kind of jumps off the page in terms of, not a guy that you would generally think about, the Nathan Rembert, or maybe look at Josiah Rockino, right? Because those guys have done a lot of damage. They're very, out there as far as names. They got the Ahmad Miller freshman of the year and Chase Bingman. Obviously, these are guys who kind of obviously are really key guys in this game. Are there any other players, offensively or defensively, on either side of the field that you feel like can have an impact on this game that maybe people aren't generally aware about?
The weird thing is, it's a player that we talk about that people aren't talking about, and I'm surprised, but I'm expecting something from Kennedy Parker, and I'm also expecting the kick game to be better than it has been. It looked better that last game, but like Coach Northern said, what concerns me is I can see this game doing something weird with a kick return or a fumble. And the killer part, this one I'm going to tell you we got to watch out for in this game. This is the player that we got to watch out for is, that 76-yard run, and then you see Laundry on the field. The ref is going to come into play because neither one of the teams are excellent at penalties. So you can see something that won the game, and then you look back and it's a flag. And I ain't necessarily saying it'll be on PV. It'll be on Jackson State, and boy, we'll never hear the end of it if it's on them. But I'm just saying, I think it's going to be some weird stuff like that in the game. But as far as player, I can't think of his name right now, 27 with Jackson State, because they talk about Miller and the other back, but this back is really good too, and they have some receivers. Jackson State talk about him, Dupree's grandson. Are you trying to watch Rembrandt and Savage and the other players? You got to watch out for him because he'll come out. Yeah, Davenport is the one I'm thinking about. Yes. After you get beat up by Miller pretty good and get tired of chasing Terrell, then they throw Davenport in there, and he's kind of a combination of the two. So he's somebody to watch out for. But on our offense, nobody talks about him, but this guy makes the plays is Bonner. And, he'll mess around and get a pass on you while you so busy focusing on Rockwell and focusing on our tight ends. And that's the other thing is I've never seen a Prairie View team use the tight ends like we have, and we have 3 of them. And they talk about Jones a little bit, but they don't talk about the other 2. Those guys got hands like the bite. They can catch that ball. And so while you trying to cover everybody else, Ethan John slips out and he's wide open because nobody account for him because he blocks a lot. And so, so I think those are some players and the linemen too. We're looking for those linemen because Jackson State has a good lineman up front, and we'll need the tackles to have a good game because I'm just a fan. I don't know why I was watching Fields so hard. And yeah, and he mentioned Banks. The Joker is gonna, you can't forget that dude runs a 4.2, 4.3 or something like that. And if they place the ball in his hands or he get a hold of it in open space, just no shade against Jackson State, but watching their defensive backs, I'm not sure. And
right.
Yeah.
Let me add a couple things. So I think both teams have above average tight ends.
Yep.
Both teams have good offensive line. And when I'm looking at a game, I look at tendencies. So I see both teams, a couple weeks ago, I told if you watching the game, look and see, does the ball follow the motion? Well, both teams do a good job of showing you something, but doing something different.
Yep.
I think the thing it's gonna be some plays by both teams that people gonna wonder, like, how is the quarterback getting outside of the containment so easy? And it's because of the way that you have certain run fits. Then once you fit it up a certain way, if that second guy don't wrap the right way, then the quarterback is going to get to the edge of the defense, and I can see that happening versus both teams. So it's some good offensive coaching going on, in my opinion, because they make you defend stuff, and they make the defensive players really have to trust each other by saying, if I squeeze and spill this, I'm gonna get a wrap defender to have my back because I'm gonna force this outside. And I think that's gonna be a key to the game, whose defense can trust and take away the A/B gap run and not lose contain.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And a shout out to 40, Coach. Coach, you know him as 40, right?
Oh yeah,
Mr. Howard. He says he's watching over on Instagram saying, what we talking about today, man, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. Who wants it more? All the tricks and gadgets have been used throughout during the season. Who won it most, period. And then he also said special teams will be big also. What are your thoughts about that? You know what I'm saying, Dale, man, with him saying, hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's going to be about who won it more.
Yeah, I mean that's just what it is. I mean that's what it's gonna boil down to. It's gonna boil down to who's disciplined, and that also boils down in that conversation for who wants it more. We don't talk about that a whole lot because that third down and 3 and your offensive lineman jumps.
yeah.
Now you push you behind the chains. Now you have to adjust, and now you have to adjust and try to figure out what's the next play you get to, and then hope that the time uh hasn't been spent on just on middle school stuff. I'll say this. Um it's the attention to it's those things that coaches talk to you about all the time, those little things that can turn into big things that you really don't think that's really that important until it come back and bite you in the butt. It's that little swipe at the end, a guy push you, or it's that guy, that extra, shove out of bounds, or it's that thing that you say, that extra celebration. So it's those little things that can turn into big things that can, or the quarterback is not watching the clock, so now you have to rush a play. So it's things like that play, can play against you in big games like this. And to go back to what y'all talked about before, my unsung hero from this, I ain't gonna say hero, who I believe, and I said this to Lionel, I said this to some other guys. The person we have, people always talk about what Jackson State has. They have a good football team. I don't take that away. We talk trash, we got the banter, you ride for yours, we ride for ours. We got a good setup we got a good group of football players. We got great staff. The person for me, and this is just me looking at it. If Shadrick Bird gets a couple carries in this game, it's going to turn this thing to a totally different situation. Because if you look at his game and he gets going, you're going to have an issue because now you're trying to start beaming. Then you got to come with McDowell. Then you got to come back with Bird. And I think he brings something special to that backfield for him to be able to do some of the things that he does. So, like I think this is gonna be a collective effort. Because a lot of people don't realize too. One of our best offensive linemen, Blue, and Coach Northern can tell you, Blue. It was a weird play. He played like they teach you. Hey, play until you hit a whistle. Blue blocked this dude all the way somewhere. I think it was out of bounds or something like they say he cut somebody and he got put out of the game. Somebody behind him had to come in and play. And this was early in this game. This may be like the first drive was first, yeah. So it's those guys that's on the bench who a lot of like guys always mope and cry about not playing, but this is your opportunity because you never know when you got to step in and do what you need to do. That's why I say Shadrick Bird is gonna be big in this game if he gets an opportunity.
Yeah, Bird.
And I think that's why, you talk about those guys getting those moments throughout the season, right? You think about, and I always think about that Alabama A&M game where, you saw him get a chance to really, touch the end zone, right? And you think about those carries that he got late in that game. You think about, and then you see him even early in the Rice game, right? You saw him with a couple carries and you start to see like, okay, now he's not only getting a couple carries, so at the end of the game, you start seeing him implemented as like that third back in the season, right? And so Coach always talked about earlier about how every snap matters, right? Guys need reps, etc. Well, now you're talking about a game where you say, Bill, where it's like, man, what if he gets going? You say, man, now we got a guy that has a little different running style, a little different skills than the first two guys that Jackson, again, may not be ready for. Now, I think Jackson going to be ready, right? Even looking at Coach TC press conference, he was very clear when McDowell and Bing was mentioned. It's like, really, they got three guys, right? And he himself mentioned Shadrick Bird, right? So, like I say, I think both of these coaching styles are definitely gonna be ready. The teams are gonna be ready, and I think Mr. Howard is really correcting a lot of assessment of also, man, who wants some more. And I think also it comes down to coaching, man. It's gonna be important. Certain decisions and certain plays, where we're gonna go with the ball, who we're gonna get the ball to. It's gonna be real important in this game, and also some of the little things. Talk about that Alabama State game where it looked like a guy who was in the wrong spot made a great play, right? Can you put a hand on him and get that receiver out in the open, and now that turns into a touchdown drive versus a missed field goal? Them little things is now all season we preaching about it, talking about the little things, talk about, the ants, how you said, Coach, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, ants and mosquitoes kill way more than tigers, lions, and bears.
You talk about the ants and mosquitoes. Now this is going to be what's important, right? And before we get ready to close it out, man, I want to let you guys know, man, listen, we got a real special one coming up, right after this, right, with Quincy T, man, you know what I'm saying? Numbers don't lie, right? We're going to be looking at some advanced stats, right? Advanced statistics, as we prepare for this game, the SWAC championship game. Man, he's done an awesome job of really breaking those things down and really looking in super detail. So we're going to look at both teams, right, and really do a detailed dive on both of these programs as we come into the SWAC championship game, because this game is really closer than I think a lot of people 6 weeks ago thought it was going to be. But I see a lot of people now are really having a thought process and mindset that, hey, man, it's going to be different than what I think it is. Now, I'm on Coach Northern's side. Now, I know Coach Northern ain't going to never say who he choosing, who he picking. But what show he on? That's all I'm gonna say. What show he on? Okay? So listen. So when he say somebody gonna make a play and it ain't gonna be in as close as what it is, I'm telling you right now. Listen, I got it as a two score win, and it ain't for nobody that's wearing blue. Ain't for no heifers, and I ain't talking about nobody but Packers on here. The Jackson State heifers. All right, you know what I'm saying. So with that said, though, man. We're gonna look to start wrapping it up and round it up, man. And I just want to say, got to remind you guys that this show is sponsored by PV Alumni, right? First and foremost, Jeff McKissick, Texas licensed loan officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and he'll help guide you seamlessly through the home buying process. So listen, don't delay. Talk with Jeff today so you can be in your home tomorrow. And also, listen, it's sponsored, of course, by Mr. Neil Harris. All right, he's a PV alumni, right? You know what I'm saying? And so when you're thinking big about your biggest investment, you got to contact Blueprint improvement group, right? He has inspectors who assess every aspect of the property from the roof to foundation, right? You know what I'm saying? So make sure you visit thinkbig.com or call 713-259-0673. So with that said, man, listen, when you talk about one key, I just want one key from each person, right? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna start with Mr. Mickens. We're gonna go to you, Brandon, and we're gonna end with Coach. Just give me the one key for this game that's gonna be key for this game. That's gonna be the determining factor of who wins this SWAC championship game. What key is that, right? Mr. Mickens, it's on you.
Turnovers. That's my one key. Turnovers. You can't lose the turnover battle. I mean, fumbles, interceptions, and turnovers. I was gonna say penalties too, because you need your defensive backs to turn around. You don't need them with their back to the quarterback chasing the guy, and then the pass is nowhere near the guy, but you get a PI because you never turned around. So that's a big one, but not as big as turnovers. Turnovers is gonna whoever, like Coach Northern said, nobody's gonna blink in this game because every coach out there on both sides been in championships. But turnovers is the one I'm looking at.
Man, I would say, man, just do the things that you've been coached to do. Don't try to do too much. And that folds basically right into make the play. Like, that's the thing. Make the play, because you don't know if that opportunity is going to present itself again. If it's that interception, that one drop interception could turn into them extending the drive. So when that opportunity presents itself, you have to look at it, there's no tomorrow, because it's not. You don't get to the Celebration Bowl without winning a SWAC championship. So I say just make the play when it comes to you.
I'm going to say pass completions and third down percentage. That's going to be the key. I think whichever quarterback can stay between that 60 to 70% range their team is going to be victorious. And then can you keep the ball on third down, whether it's 3rd and 1 or 3rd and long? You got to be able to keep moving the chains, keep your offense on the field, because possession of the football in a game like this is going to be a premium because of how good the defenses are. So, it might end up turning to what we call putback. Get a first down and punt as opposed to 3 and out and punting. Get a first down and then maybe get another one and punt. The closer you get to your goal line, the easier it's going to be to score. So, I think that's going to be better pass completion percentage, not the most yards percentage, as well as third down completion. Third down conversions is going to be big.
Yeah, Coach Mickens talked about a little bit earlier about, just how special teams are going to play a factor, right, and be really important. I think you got two guys that's really dynamic. You got Travis Terrell, that most people know about. Obviously, last year he had such a real big impact on the game, especially in the return game. This year has not impacted as much as he did last year, but he has the ability, right?
Yes.
And so that's important. I think another thing is people haven't talked about is Kellen Stewart, who was out a couple games in the middle of the season for Prairie View, but now is back as the primary kickoff returner. And he's had a couple, big return opportunities. That's literally like some almost moments that was like, wow, one more block or, slipping one guy. Man, you're talking about a big return. Now, some good returns against some good field position, but could have been some bigger field position battles. I think that's going to be really key, right? Because I think when we talk about kickoffs, we talk about punts, field position, starting field position, I think is going to be major in this game. At the Alabama State game when they played Prairie View, the main issue was not even the 4 turnovers. The primary issue, now part of it was caused because of the turnovers, right? But the primary thing, look at Alabama State's starting position in that game. Look at URGV game, where their starting position was in that game. That's really the tell of the game, right? Because if you make them drive the long field against the defense, now you're putting yourself in better position. maybe got a score or two that's not on the board that gets on the board because they started in more plus territory than if you put them in a better position, right? And so I think both of these teams is going to be key on where's the starting position. So Coach talked about getting first downs and maybe punting the ball off right versus going 3 and out and punting the ball. Well, now you give yourself a little better field position, depending on which way that goes. And so I will say that and also say, man, I think it's going to be a heavyweight bout, and both teams I think are going to come out jabbing. I'm actually with Coach, right? And, obviously you know what my side is, right? I think at some point the game's going to open up a little bit, right? And a guy's going to make a play to kind of extend that, make the game a little bit bigger than what it is. But I think starting off, especially that first quarter, going into early second, it's going to be a lot of jabbing. Ain't going to be a lot of big blows, body blows and shots. Boys ain't going to be swinging for the fences. It's going to be a lot of good jabs. And again, that's why I say field position is important, because I really believe that scoring first is really important in this game. I really do. A lot of games, to me, it doesn't matter, right? But I think both of these teams are built very much the same. I think scoring first is important, because if you can score after you take a couple jabs, right, 2 possessions in, 3 possessions in, now one team is on the board, and now the other team, now you talk about maybe mid-second quarter, and you trying to get some points on the board, and maybe the team is up, hopefully only 3-0, maybe 7-0. It puts you in a position where that drive now is so important, because if you get off the field quickly and get them the ball back, you're in trouble, and that's one way or the other, no matter which team you're talking about. So field position, I think that to me is my main key to the game on this game. I think there's something to really watch out for. Kickoff returns really important. Punt, not just punt returns, but the punt average, right? What's your net average on your punts? Right? Yeah, you put the ball 70 yards back, but then they run it back 30 yards. That ain't so great. So what's the net on the punts? And so that's really important. But any last words for you guys? Again, I want to remind y'all, man, we got another show that's coming up. I want you guys to make sure y'all lock in with us once we get off with my guy Quincy T, advanced statistician, man. He's going to break it all down for you. Numbers don't lie, right? We're calling it. But any last words, man, you guys got for this game? I'm not going to ask you guys to pick it, because I already know who all of y'all are picking. I don't know who everybody picking, okay?
Hey,
and
man.
By the way, y'all check out HBCU Coach's Corner tomorrow, because Coach Gordon is going to be on HBCU Coach's Corner, breaking it down with Coach Cole, with Mr. Campbell, right, with Rocky. With Rocky always throwing shade on PV Miller. That's his name right now. Rocky, that's your name. That's going to be your name right now, Rocky. Is Rocky always throwing shade on PV Miller, okay? But Coach Norton going to be on the show tomorrow, right, for a special Coach's Corner, breaking it all down. So make sure y'all lock in with him and Coach Campbell and them tomorrow, too, for that. But what's y'all last words before we get out of here?
Hey, man, let me say this. I don't say certain stuff because, to be honest with you, I probably plan on coaching somewhere next year. So that's why I don't say a lot of stuff. Because, man, jokers take stuff personal if you say their team don't win. So jokers be sensitive, and I ain't all about that sensitivity. I ain't Ralph Trez fan. So, look, I'm going to end this like this. I told y'all. All day, baby.
Hey, I'll say this. Hey, listen. This is not too many times that your program gets to play in a game like this. As somebody who's played in this game and been on the other side and watched the game, if you are a Prairie View alum and you can afford to go, please go to the game and support. Because what you don't realize is, even though we are taught to take care of what's in that bubble within that group, play for one another, it's always good to hear that extra, because you don't realize what that does, that momentum, that when you need it at that moment, it means a whole lot. And then to be able to turn around and to be able to see those people in those stands. For those who cannot afford to go, if it's for whatever reason, financial, you have a certain financial obligation, or you just can't get a time off, or in the state of this economy, people have been affected. Hey, listen, there are several watch parties all over the city, but the Prairie View Football Alumni Association, we are hosting a watch party at Pitch 25. Please come out. We have right now, I've been checking it throughout the show. We're at 204 people that have already RSVP, got their ticket ready to come hang out with us. We got plenty of space for everybody to come in there. So we're trying to get people to come out and cheer the team on. We're gonna do some raffles, we're gonna have some giveaways, we're gonna do some cool things. But we're also gonna try to get some people to be able to donate some money back to this university. Because some of those ticket sales that we weren't able to be able to necessarily purchase or purchase a ticket, we want to be able to on the back end to be able to raise some money and get that to the football excellence fund. So the game starts at 1. We are telling people to get to pitch 25 at 11:30. Hear me out. We have 204 people that's already signed up, and they keep coming on. Like, people keep buying tickets as the show goes on and all through the week. So we'll be there. We highly anticipate a lot of people. So come be there at 11. There's some other games going on. You got who is it? Texas Tech versus BYU. There are other championship games going on throughout the city. So we want to be able to take over pitch 25 so that we can have pretty much the pretty much control over what's on the TV. All right. We already got the TV set up, but we want to take over pitch 25. All right.
There you go. And the piggyback off of
Nick,
Brandon, you ain't party till you party with the football alumni.
Hey, we're gonna have a good time. I'm telling you. We're gonna have a good time. But yeah, show up at 11:30 so we can take over the place. First come, first serve.
All right. Well, with that said, man, we appreciate y'all. And listen, make sure y'all tune in. Come right back on. Right, we got Numbers Don't Lie with Quincy T. Gonna go through some advanced stats of the game. And also on tomorrow, we got another preview with some old PV Nation. And then of course, the PV Nation podcast. Y'all already know how they do. They're gonna break it down on Wednesday, man. So with that said, man, again, we'll holler at y'all. Bye bye. Say bye, Sums. Bye.
Hey, real quick, Lionel. Everybody ignore the toxicity on Twitter and Facebook. Brandon is right. If you can go to that game, it is fun. The tailgate is fun.
That's right.
The game is fun. Most of the people don't act like those people you see on Facebook and Twitter. Half those jokers don't even go to the game.
Right.
So
that's right.
Come and have some fun in the game if you could be there in person. It was fun in 2021 and be fun again.
Shouts out to those who showing up, who at the game. Right, again, if you're showing up at the watch parties, you still able to show your support in that way. All those things matter, right? Do what you can, right? But for those who are there, for all of PV Nation who's gonna be in the building, right? Just know that, listen, your noise matters, all right? And it's known, it's appreciated. The coaches feel it, the players feel it. When I talk to them, they like, hey, listen, when people was like, when nobody Alabama and them, listen, they saw the people and they felt y'all there. They saw y'all, felt y'all at Southern, right? You know what I'm saying? They felt us when we was coming to these other games and these away games. And the same way here in Jackson, even if people can say all they want and talk about, oh, look at the numbers versus this, man, the impact is what's important, right? You know what I'm saying? And so be loud, be involved, right? You know what I'm saying? Make noise and support the Panthers. And so with that said, man, go Panthers. We'll holler at y'all.